Hi, welcome to Dying to Listen podcast. We have Erich here. I guess if you want to introduce yourself, your name and what you call your business.
All right, my name is Erich Kagel. My disc dyeing business is called Sunchaser Disc Dyes. I started doing disc dyeing probably getting on 2 years ago, and just because I saw other people doing it on Instagram, and I decided, you know what, this looks really cool. This looks really fun. This looks like something that shouldn't cost a lot of money, of course. How stupid was that?
Yeah.
But, it make my bag cooler. And I started doing it and just kept cranking out dye after dye after dye that really for the first 6 months looked straight amateur hour.
Yeah, I think everybody starts that way. So how did you actually come up with your name?
So Sunchaser Disc Dyes, it's a reference to my hobby of cycling. I'm an avid cyclist, and I used to always say, you know what, it's getting to be 6 o'clock on a fall afternoon. It's getting dark. I need to get the hell out there, enjoy the rest of the sunlight, and chase the sun. So actually, the reason why I even came up with Sunchaser Disc Dyes in the first place was that I sent a dye into Paul Macbeth and Dylan Cease back when they were hosting those tryouts. And everybody else they unbox are like, okay, this is Greasy Dyes, this is Pastry Dyes, this is Midwest Dye Labs, this is Sad Dyes, and I'm like, I don't have a name. This is EWK Disc Golf, which was my main Instagram handle at the time.
I think I remember that actually.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
So I think they credited me as Erich Kagel Disc Golf in the credits, and I'm like, damn, I need a freaking name.
There you go. What got you into disc golf, and how long have you been doing it?
So I've been a lifelong player. My dad used to take me and my brother when we were kids. I was probably 10, he was 8, my brother was 8, and we would go to Dretska back when Dretska was the only course in town in like the early 90s. And I didn't know what I was doing. My brother didn't know what he was doing. My dad really didn't know what he was doing either. We just went there to throw frisbees.
Yeah.
And the hobby stuck with me. I didn't really play a lot in high school because I did a lot of extracurriculars and sports in high school. But then college came. I got into the ultimate scene a little bit in college. But then that's how I learned how to throw a forehand, was through playing ultimate.
Yeah.
And then I got back home one summer, and some of my friends like, hey, you want to go discing? Yeah, sure, why not?
Nice.
So we went. We go with my friends, and I started throwing forehands at the disc golf course. I'm like, holy shit, I could actually do this.
Nice.
I couldn't do it before because I'd just throw a backhand 100 feet in the air and 100 feet left, and I'm throwing as hard as I friggin' can and throwing noob hyzer after noob hyzer and not knowing anything about form or none of those resources existed back then really anyway. You couldn't go on YouTube and look up good disc golf form even if you wanted to.
It's crazy how much the sport has grown just even in the last few years.
Yeah. Last 2.
Yeah, I think the pandemic definitely kicked that off, because what else were you supposed to do?
You couldn't even disc golf for a while because back when the whole thing first started, they were closing courses. They were telling people, you can't come here, you can't, we don't want you touching these baskets and getting sick on our watch. How would that make us look? Us, random municipality, park department, whatever.
Yeah.
So they're telling people not to disc golf. But then, then I think people realized that you could do that social distancing. You could do that and follow all sorts of best practices with COVID, and it exploded. It really did.
Yeah.
That's about when I joined Instagram, is right during the pandemic, and I witnessed this explosion in real time happening online. That's
crazy. So for you listeners, we are in southeast Wisconsin. So you're located in Waukesha, right?
I am, yes. I'm about 20 minutes away from here.
Gotcha, and I'm in Pewaukee, so please don't stalk me. So that's cool that you've been playing basically forever. Do you have a favorite course in southeast Wisconsin?
Around here, I'll say it depends on the day, really, but I will say right now Brown Deer.
Really?
Brown Deer is... Because right now, I have really committed a lot to getting better at the actual game.
Yeah.
And spent a lot of time doing field work and spent a lot of time trying to improve bad parts of my game. Mm-hmm. So you know, I welcome the challenge of playing a course like Brown Deer, but you know, you could ask me a week from now and I might say Dretska because I love Dretska too. That course is awesome.
It is a very nice course. For Brown Deer, are you playing the tournament on Sunday?
I am not, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
It's supposed to be crummy weather anyway.
I know. I'm going to be playing with my friend. That's the only reason why.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm looking at the weather, and it's going to be pretty much rainy the entire day.
Yeah.
And that course is hard.
That course is hard to begin with, and in the rain, ooh, boy.
Yeah, and I think that's an officially sanctioned round.
It is. It's
And
one round.
And that will be my first one.
First sanctioned round ever?
Yes.
Nice.
And I heard that your first round is like the most important one, and trying to move after that is harder.
Yes and no. All rounds will be off your record within 12 months, no matter how good or bad you do. It does establish your initial rating, which I think that doing good in your first round is something that a lot of players put a lot of pressure on themselves to do because they want to start strong. I know I did. My first ever sanctioned event was a total birdie fest at Dretska, and my first round was like 886, and I'm like, okay, this is how I am. This is how good I am. Okay, I thought I was better than this, but it's a lot of pressure. You start overthinking 10-foot putts, and you really got to concentrate.
Yeah, it is definitely a huge mental game.
It is.
I did one tournament that was unsanctioned, and first throw right into the trees. Damn it!
It happens.
Yeah.
And then you uncork a bad throw where if you're playing a casual round or just playing by yourself, like whatever, I'll just throw another one. But you can't do that. You actually have to play from your line out. Like,
can we do a mully or two off the tee, please?
Yeah, I'll give you $5. Can I just pretend that shot didn't happen?
It never happened. So, when and how did you get into disc dyeing?
Sometime in 2020. So one account I will credit is the Disc Golf Couple account. I don't know if you're familiar with them on Instagram.
I don't know.
So they're a husband and wife from Pennsylvania. They actually own a disc golf store now that they operate out of their house.
Awesome.
I think it might be an off-site building, but I think it's their house. Anyways, they started experimenting with disc dyeing, and it was really easy, simple stuff. Just lay some tape down, lay a bunch of lotion on one part of the disc and another color another part of the disc, and you just get this really simple dye. I'm like, dude, I could do that. I should do that to my discs. Why haven't I thought of that?
Yeah.
So that's what sort of inspired me to try it. And I did a whole bunch of dyes early on that really just looked total amateur hour.
Yeah. Do you remember the first disc that you dyed?
The first disc I attempted to dye was a DX Kite, Innova Kite, which you don't see many of those around anymore. I didn't know that you couldn't dye baseline plastic, so I pulled it out of whatever shaving cream bed I made, and I pulled it out and washed it off. Like, what the fuck? This is all white? Well, this didn't do anything.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people dyed DX plastic for their first one and were sorely disappointed, as was I.
Yep. So the first actual good dye I did was, I think, a harp. It was a tournament harp. Not to say it was good. It wasn't good. It wasn't good.
It was better than your first attempt.
But it actually took. The first dye I did that actually took. And I thought it was the greatest damn thing ever. Like, oh my god, this thing is cool. It looks like a pinwheel spinning in the air, but you look at it now and it wouldn't even compare to anything you see out there.
Do you remember what dye you actually used?
RIT.
Well, everybody uses RIT.
Everybody starts off with a RIT because it's easy to get and it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, I started off with iDye Poly.
All right. Well, you started off better than a lot of us did.
I know. I was like, I honestly never heard of RIT, but I found it at, I think it was at Michael's.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool.
I think I ordered it off of Amazon at the time because going in anywhere at that very time was a risk.
Yeah.
So I just ordered it off of Amazon and did a lot of dyes with RIT until the Disc Golf Dyers Facebook page. I discovered that.
Yeah.
And that was a trip. I was like, whoa, these people are freaking amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Your first bed, was that a shaving cream bed or what else?
I think it was a shaving cream bed, might have been lotion. I bought a whole bunch of stuff and just did just kind of messed around with whatever.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember if it was lotion or shaving cream, to be honest. That harp.
Mm-hmm. I feel like as with disc golf, disc dyeing has definitely progressed a lot in the last years, and I feel like when I was getting into it, everybody was just experimenting with like literally everything to see what works.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people try dish detergent.
Yeah.
And I've never done dish detergent, but I guess it kind of works.
Yeah, I tried that because of one person, Kateri. She'll actually be on tomorrow.
Okay.
Recording tomorrow, not on tomorrow.
Oh, right on.
I've tried it. It works. It's different, but yeah.
Okay. Maybe something to try.
Yeah, I mean, you never know unless you try, because that's you gotta experiment.
I'm gonna say that's part of the fun of this all.
Yes, just when you're experimenting, it costs money for the discs.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
I mean, thank God for Innova Factor Second Fridays, right?
Yeah. Where do you get most of your discs?
Wherever I can.
Yeah.
So sometimes that means buying 6 Bergs off of off of Pure Line Disc Golf or Par Plastics or something like that, because I can, or wherever 1010, wherever I can get, wherever I can get enough to get free shipping.
Yeah.
I buy a lot of Casaplast, so I kind of gravitate towards those.
Where's a good site for Casaplast?
So there is a professional disc golfer sponsored by Casaplast named Charlie Goodpasture. He operates a store called Pure Line Disc Golf out of Tampa, Florida. So I have bought a lot from that store. Another store that I buy a lot from is Par Plastics in Duluth, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I think they're a little bit more well known around here, at least.
Yeah, I think I bought stuff from them.
1010 Discs in Memphis, Tennessee is another one I find myself gravitating to a lot. I try to support local shops like the Play It Again here in Greenfield, or Riverside if I ever go up there, or Mike Harrington's barn.
Mm-hmm.
I buy from wherever, and sometimes that means trolling the Facebook, the 1576 Facebook group, and someone posts something that they don't know is worth a lot more than that. Finn.
Yeah, I will take that. I know I've got some deals on there before. I think there's like a disc golf auction site, and Gateway had like some dyeable stuff that I got. Basically, I think it was like $11 a disc. I'm like, sweet. There
was actually one offer that some guy at Gateway made where he was selling diamond wizards for $120 a dozen, and I bought one of those too.
I think I did as well.
Nice.
Do you have a little setup at Play It Again?
I am working on it.
Yeah.
So I actually went there last weekend
and
asked Andy Hunt.
Yeah.
Hey, what is it? What would it take to have my work here? And he said basically, if you provide your own, structure to put your discs in and display your discs in,
mm-hmm.
and you bring in like 8 to 10 discs and you label them what the price is, then you can basically just set up shop.
Andy's a really cool dude. I remember I went there the first time and I saw We Die You Fly set
mm-hmm.
up there, and all of a sudden there's like 5 other people. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm working on that. I gotta generate some inventory, because I don't have a whole lot of available inventory at any given time.
Yeah.
A lot of discs I put up for auction right away, because I like to see what people pay for.
Where do you typically sell your discs?
So a lot of my Casaplast I will put up for auction on a Facebook group called Let's Castaplast.
Okay.
So this group allows you to auction off anything. You can auction off whatever Casaplast disc you want. You can auction off a stock K3 Berg if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're probably not going to make a whole lot of money doing that, but you can.
Yeah.
You can auction off a first run Caxi Z and make a shitload of money.
Yeah.
You can. I've been putting a lot of my dyed Casaplast up on Let's Casaplast.
Nice.
So lately a lot of what I've been doing is commission work too. So if someone says, "Hey, will you do something on a Innova Destroyer?" Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, I got you, man.
Yeah. I personally don't like having a lot of inventory, because if it doesn't sell, then I'm sitting on it. I rather do commission or die on demand stuff. Like, if they have an idea of what they want, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm. So where do you sell a lot of yours?
I honestly haven't sold a whole lot of discs. I either have it on my website or at Play It Again Sports.
Okay. play it against something that I'm trying to.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta get my act together, and finding time is the hardest part of all of it because I have 2 kids. I have 2 very young children under 5 at home.
Yeah.
And I have to be a good dad to them and a good husband to my wife.
Yes.
As much as I want to dive headfirst into disc golf and just dedicate every waking hour of it to my obsession of disc golf, I've got responsibilities too.
Yeah, it's definitely a handful, and being a parent is basically a full-time job.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Have you ever taken your kids out disc golfing?
Oh yeah. All the time.
Do they like it?
They do if as long as I bring snacks and as long as I keep them entertained and as long as I don't as long as I'm allowing them to be kids.
Yeah.
And kind of tootle around at their own pace, and if my 4-year-old wants to play with sticks and rocks and dirt, he can play with sticks and rocks and dirt.
Yeah.
As long as I give him the freedom to do that and just say, hey, group of 5 coming behind me, play through, man. Play through, guys.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be playing very, very slowly with my 2 children here, and especially the baby. Now he's starting to. I have a 1-year-old too, and he's been able to walk for a while, but now he's starting to get old enough where he wants to go explore around the woods too.
Nice. Snacks. That's the key thing there.
Yep, snacks. Pro tip to any father or mother bringing your kids disc golfing: bring snacks.
Yes. Feed them. They're like garbage disposals.
Yep. Bring water too.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want is a meltdown because they're hungry or thirsty and you're on hole 9 and you're a mile away from the car.
Yeah. And make sure they go to the bathroom before you go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't have to worry about that too much with the baby because he's still in diapers, but my 4-year-old, he's potty trained, obviously, but he's, if you let him get too absorbed in something, then he'll forget.
Yeah. Luckily, my daughter, she can last through 18 rounds, and last weekend we played Brown Deer, all 21 holes, and she held up better than I was expecting. So
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So she has her own bag and her own discs.
Does she play all the holes?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay.
She each hole she runs up is like, I want to be first. I'm like, go for it. Get the wind read.
Yep.
She said it was like 5 feet, but whatever.
It's all good.
Back to dying.
All right.
Do you have a signature style? So if someone saw a dye disc, they'd be like, yeah, that's you.
All right. I'm going to pull this one out. This is kind of my signature style here.
So for the audio listeners, if you want to explain.
So what I do here is I will mask off the entire perimeter from about here out so that I can do spin. I can do a rainbow spin dye. And then I will, if there's a delicate stamp, I'll mask off the stamp as well. A lot of discs, you don't really have to worry about that too much. But then I will do a shaving cream mound where I have a whole bunch of Pro Chem and dye neons that I pour all over the mound. I put it on my, I put it on top of a disc on my record player so that I can have it spin. And then as it's spinning, I just go and lay it in, put it under a heat lamp for a couple hours, let it sit for a couple more, and then pull it and do the spins.
What part of the dye do you do first? Do you do the shaving cream on first?
Yes, I do the shaving cream first.
Okay.
So that's the first dye I put on it. Yeah. I do the masking stuff here. And this one I did kind of some wood. I did a bunch of wood glue and swirl it around and then dye. Actually, this particular disc, I don't do this style a whole ton, but I do it occasionally. I actually did this black speckled stuff first before anything else.
Gotcha.
But a lot of dyes I just will mask off entirely, and then I'll do the shaving cream, then I'll do the spin.
Gotcha.
So this is something that this is my fallback design.
Yeah.
This is if I'm struggling for inspiration and I just I feel the urge to dye a disc, but I don't know like what am I going to put on it. And I'm thinking of all sorts of different things. Like, you know what? This works. People like this.
Yeah.
So,
what do you use to mask off the big circle?
I'll use Elmer's glue if I'm just masking off straight up.
Really?
Yep. Just spin it around. Watch it as it spins. Disperse glue.
Huh.
This one though, to do all these black speckles, I actually did wood glue because it's a little bit easier to manipulate into the shape I want.
Yeah.
But even that's totally random. That's just squirt a bunch here, squirt a bunch outside, and just do a bunch of figure eights.
Gotcha. So the first bed that I've ever done, and was kind of my style, was the shaving cream burst bed.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I've ever used heat for that.
I feel like the heat allows a lot more intense color uptake.
Yeah.
Because these are all Pro Chem and Dye neons, and you notice how it came out. Like this is kind of dark green, and
Yeah.
this is not dark blue, but it's kind of, you know, it's way darker than you expect Pro Chem and Dye Caribbean blue to be.
Yeah.
You know, this orange is neon orange,
Mm-hmm.
and that's actually, there's a little bit of mixture with cerise pink that's causing the red.
Yeah.
That's what I'm usually going for there.
So for the heat, have you noticed any like degradation of the shaving cream bed over time with the heat?
As long as I pull in a reasonable amount of time, I do not.
Yeah.
Where the heat will cause degradation is these metallic stamps.
Really?
So if I just put this on without masking off any of the stamp, it'll be all janky and like half dissolved, and then it looks like shit.
What do you use for heat?
I have a heat lamp set up, so it's the ghettoest thing ever. It's basically two unused boxes standing up that are about 2 feet tall each, and connected with just this random piece of bar that I hang a heat lamp from.
Whatever works.
I mean, you'd laugh if you saw it.
Probably.
But it works. It gets the job done. I can raise and lower it I have this clamp that I raise and lower. Clamp the cord to the bar and raise and lower it as I see fit. If I feel like I need to get more intense heat for like a few minutes, then I'll lower it. If I feel like it's getting too hot, I raise it too.
Yeah. So I'm assuming nothing scientific. You just kind of go by feel.
Yeah, I go by feel.
Yeah.
I do have a baby, like a kind of a baby thermometer, like a gun thermometer that occasionally I'll go down and I'll go down and gun it, but then I'll take it right back upstairs because I don't want to have it downstairs, and
Yeah.
but I don't think my wife would like that too much.
Yeah. And it's just a regular hardware store heat lamp and bulb. Do you know what size bulb do you use?
I forget the size bulb. It's just I got the whole setup, the entire setup I got from Home Depot for like $20.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It was the best $20 I ever spent.
Nice.
Because honestly, the uptake I get with heat as opposed to not using heat is phenomenal.
Yeah. No,
I mean, the difference is huge.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This one too, I kind of did the same thing, except with glue bed in the center rather than shaving cream.
Yeah. That was a clear glue?
Yes.
That's becoming my new favorite bed type.
But yeah, this is clear glue bed, and same thing. I mass all it off from here on out.
Gotcha. So for your spin dyes, what is your mixture that you use?
So I mix a bunch of Pro Chem and dye powder up with acetone.
Okay.
I have some mixes with denatured alcohol that I'm experimenting with. I'm trying to do some kind of lollipop swirls. That's something I'm not super good at yet, but I'm attempting to get better at it because I feel like that's another tool in my toolbox.
Yeah, that it's extremely difficult. I still suck at it. There's one dyer, and I really wish I knew his name right now, but he does amazing lollipop spins.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about from the Disc Golf Dyers group, and I can't remember his name either, unfortunately.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
Maybe he'll be on this show too.
Yes, we'll see. For masking off the stamps, what do you use? Glue? Do you use Elmer's glue, wood glue?
If I'm masking off stamps, I like using wood glue. It's a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
Stays on. I feel like it stays on and disintegrates just a little bit less than Elmer's glue. Now, Elmer's glue is so much cheaper, so it's economical to use in a situation like this where it's just a straight mask from here on out.
Yeah.
On the entire perimeter.
What specific wood glue do you use?
Gorilla glue. It's whatever I find it. It's at Target.
Huh. Okay.
I think it's Gorilla glue.
Gotcha.
I think any wood glue really works.
Yeah. How long does it take to dry?
I a lot of times will apply glue where I want it the previous day, and then I just let it dry overnight. If I'm in a hurry, I throw it under my heat lamp and it dries in an hour or two.
Yeah. That's another thing that I'm impatient as.
Yeah.
I want this glue to dry, so when I did my first one, I was like, here's a fan, here's some heat, dry fast.
Yep, exactly. I mean, time is the great equalizer. We never have enough of it to do the stuff we want to do.
Yeah. For your clear glue bed, do you use the same mixture? for dye?
Yes, I do. I use the exact same acetone dyes they do for spins. I don't really mess with the denatured alcohol dyes in clear glue because they just don't show up as well.
Yeah.
Now the acetone shows up on the glue. You just get really great uptake on it. It sits on top of the glue bed, and it stays there. It's easy to manipulate. It's either by use of straw or by use of toothpick.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like that's if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I'm sick of blowing.
Yep.
I want to get like an airbrush.
Yep.
So,
I've seen some people do that, and that's a good way to do it. That's a good process too.
And the stamp, I guess I just realized it's on there, but you still have acetone, but the acetone basically evaporates by the time you put the disc on, right?
Yeah, so the acetone, I've heard estimates that it evaporates within seconds, and I've heard estimates that it takes 10-15 minutes. I usually will do a glue bed, and I will let it sit for at least 15 minutes before I send anything, because I want the stamp to actually still look good.
Do you keep the stamp on a lot of them, or do you wipe them?
Mostly keep them. Now here's one where I wiped it. This is actually my Wave So Groovy competition disc.
Ooh.
So this one I wiped the stamp. Just what I was trying to do would not have worked at all with having a stamp. It would have, because all I did here was drop a bunch of acetone of different colors all over the disc and try to make a rainbow pattern. And having the stamp there would have just looked like crap.
Yeah. So for listeners, it basically looks like splatter that's been splatted on.
Mm-hmm. It's a very Jackson Pollock.
I forgot, what was the theme again for your brackets?
So our theme was slick and slimy. Now I know that this is a little bit of a stretch on slick and slimy, but my idea was Nickelodeon Guts slime.
Yeah.
Now they had all those cool colors of slime of, that on all sorts of Nickelodeon shows back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Nickelodeon Guts was just the one that came to mind when I kind of did this, and I'm like, I'll try to get some spatter effect going there where I can at least tangentially tie it to the theme, and I think I did all right with it.
Yeah, no, I really like it, and I don't see that style a whole lot.
I've never done it before, and it was part of what inspired me to try it was it's out of my comfort zone. I participated in one of Wave's tournaments before, and I just kind of followed the theme, kind of the letter, and I feel like I did a dye that was good, but it was it didn't have it lacked a little X factor, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Gotcha.
So I went with something. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to try something really weird here, and if it looks good, it looks good. If it doesn't look good, I guess I'll just make it. I'll do something different. But I actually was satisfied with how it looked, so I entered it.
Yeah. How messy was it outside of the disc?
Surprisingly not bad. A lot of the spatter actually stayed on, and you see the spatter everywhere, but I'm sure that it's probably kind of hard to see, but the spatter actually stayed on the disc very, very well. I didn't drop it from super high. I dropped it from probably about this high.
So where do you dye your discs?
In my basement.
In your basement.
My work from home setup is down there, and I plug my, I have my turntable nearby, and a whole bunch of my dye supplies nearby, and I do most of my work and my dye stuff within 10 feet of each other.
Nice. So you're on a meeting, like doing some spin dye on the side.
I've never done that before, but that's a good idea.
Yeah. Is it though? Is it?
Yeah, probably not. My employer doesn't need to know that.
Yes. Well, no one listens to this anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Just you wait.
Right. Do you have a utility sink there in your basement as well?
I do.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to do any of this without it.
Yeah.
Because I have to wash glue off of discs. I have to wash shaving cream off of discs. I have to wash all sorts of nasty shit off of discs.
Yeah. At least the basement, I'm assuming it's not finished, it's kind of...
No, it's an unfinished basement.
Okay, so...
If I sell my house and move somewhere else, then hopefully whoever buys it will want to finish the basement, because there's a bunch of splatter all over the floor.
Yeah.
It's on concrete floor, so it's kind of harmless. But
so I rinse my stuff off in my utility sink in my basement, and it's starting to get a lot of the dye color permanently on it.
Yep, mine too. I mean, the sink I have was gross to begin with.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's got a bunch of dye color all over it too.
Do you have an accessory for dyeing that you could not live without?
I mean, is it cheating to say my turntable?
No.
My turntable
Yeah.
would be it. Actually, I'll give some credit to the gentleman here in town that gifted me the turntable. His name is Jim Jensen. He's he's a local player here in Milwaukee that I played with in my first ever unsanctioned tournament, and he was an awesome card mate. I mean, I felt like I was right at home playing with him and the two other guys I was playing with.
Nice.
But me and him kept in touch, and then I decided throughout dying, I'm like, you know what, I want to try spin dyes. So actually, this is kind of a funny story. I found this old table fan that my mom had in college, and she gave to me, and I had intermittently used it for various random purposes. But I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna actually try to turn this into a spin dye rig. So I taped like a container of electrical tape onto the center, and tried to like run it at really slow speeds.
Yeah.
And I mean, the dyes I got were super janky and really they weren't any good. But it was my first foray into spin dyeing, and I posted it on Facebook. I'm like, yep, this is my jerry rig spin dye rig. And Jimmy said, hey dude, I've got a turntable that is of no use to me anymore because it doesn't play music, but it spins. You want it? I'm like, hell yeah.
Nice.
So he gave me his turntable, and I dyed. My ability to dye discs just took off from there.
Nice.
So I told him basically I dye a disc for him for free whenever he wants one.
Absolutely. I feel like I saw that post of that fan.
Yeah, that was a while ago. That was last year.
Yeah, I was like, boy, people get desperate. Hey, but if it works, it works.
It didn't.
Yeah. And speaking of spin dye, shameless plug.
Yep.
I have this Dave's Spin Dye jig rig that helps people lift up the disc on the record player. So if you want that, you can find that somewhere.
Yep.
And if you're a guest, you get one for free.
I can't wait.
Yes.
Because I do all of my centering manually.
Yeah.
And it works, but it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah. So curious to see what you think about that.
Yep. I can't wait.
Do you know if your record player is direct drive or not? I'm assuming it is.
It's not. I don't think. I'm not super fluent in what features are even present on a record player.
Yeah.
Because I don't use it to play music.
Yeah. All you know is it spins, and it spins smoothly.
It spins. I've had to. There's this real thin little belt that I've had to I've had to reorient a few times because it will come loose occasionally, and then it just doesn't spin anymore.
Gotcha.
So I think that makes it not a direct drive, but I actually don't really know that for sure.
Yeah, I don't know either. Not speaking to an expert here.
Yeah,
So.
I'm far from one.
Yes. What dye brand do you use, and do you have a favorite color?
I use Pro Chemical and Dye. I feel like their dyes are head and shoulders better than anything else I've ever used.
Yeah.
I do use actually this dark red on here is iodide poly crimson, which is awesome. I love that color, but there's some iodide colors that I feel like they're just kind of garbage.
Yeah.
But Pro Chem, their stuff is the bomb.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the market is very small. It's either you have iDye or ProChem or the dye that we never say, RIT.
Yeah, RIT. Some people make good stuff with the RIT.
Yeah.
I'm actually impressed sometimes some of the dyes I see that they use RIT dye.
Yeah.
So I've never done a particularly great RIT dye myself, but the last time I used RIT was over a year ago, and my skills were they were not even close to what they are now.
Okay, so I lied. I forgot 1/2. You have Worm Dip or Spike It.
Ooh, yes, Worm Dip. I forgot about that. I actually use a few Worm Dips.
Yeah.
The red and orange and yellow actually here on the outside of this disc are all Worm Dips. The good colors are good. There's some colors that I'm not really a fan of.
Yeah. What do you use to apply your spin dye?
Q-tips.
Yeah.
I use Q-tips. I've got a couple of little paint brushes too. If I want to do a slightly thinner line, I try to use the paint brushes, but washing them off is it's I know it's a best practice to use good paintbrushes and wash them every time, but one constraint I have is time. It's a constraint that stops me from disc golfing more. It's a constraint that stops me from riding my bike more.
Mm-hmm.
It's a constraint that stops me from dying more too.
Yeah.
So Q-tips are easy. I know this isn't the best environmental thing, but they're disposable. You can use them, and you don't have to worry about resetting them. You don't have to worry about cleaning them off. You use it once and pitch it, and they're cheap.
Do you have any specific Q-tips that you like to use?
I just got whatever you can get for like 500. 3 packs of 500 for like $8.
Yeah.
At Sam's Club or whatever.
Have you ever used like really fine tip Q-tips?
I have not.
I'll have to give you some.
All right.
Because it helps get, like, if you really want nice thin lines, that helps, because these are fine tip and they come to a point.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, I'd love to try them. Sometimes I get thin lines by kind of layering one color a little bit over another.
Yeah.
And you get a little bit of blend, but you also can. That's sort of the way that I do thin lines, is I kind of run over one color with another darker color.
Gotcha.
I've kind of developed a good sense for when it works and when it doesn't.
When you apply the dye, do you like slather it on there, or do you just try to build it up in layers?
I try to be careful with how much dye I get on a Q-tip and how forcefully I press it onto a disc. You can screw spin rings up very, very easily by putting too much on, especially if you're doing one ring next to another, next to another, next to another, and you want them all to be distinct colors.
Yeah.
If you just slather it on and haphazardly drop it, you will have bleeds that seep into the next color of dye, and I really try to avoid that to the best I can. So actually what I do is it's a very fine touch that I try to apply.
Yeah, when I was first spin dyeing, I was experimenting, and I quickly learned that if you have too much dye, it's going to bleed everywhere.
Yes, it is.
So you have to be patient and build it up if you want the solid color.
Yep, I try to do, a lot. If it's a really dark color, I can usually get away with one pass, but
yeah,
if it's a lighter color, it's going to take a dozen passes probably.
So after you're done spin dyeing, do you do anything else? I guess the dye in general, do you do anything else? I guess specifically for spin dye, do you like wipe it down with anything, or you just let it sit and do its thing? Or
I actually like to take it over the sink and give it a rinse.
Yeah.
Because I've had it happen where I've let it sit, but there's been like one random little pocket of liquid that just kind of sits there, and then I grab it, and then it gets everywhere, and kind of splatters, and then it's like, oh well, I just screwed up this beautiful disc that was great everywhere else. Now has this blemish on it that makes it look, kind of ruins the entire thing. So I like to rinse my spin dyes off after I do them. I like to rinse my discs off after I do any dye, really. I
do as well. I've heard that some people like to let it sit before they rinse it off, so the dye, I guess, accepts more.
Yeah, there's good rationale behind doing that for sure.
Yeah. What I've been doing is, after I do a spin dye, I just take a cotton swab and, was it 91% isopropyl alcohol, and just give it a quick wipe while it's still on the record player. But
yeah, there's good. I've heard of people doing that too. I know a lot of people that paint with denatured alcohol like to do that as well.
Yeah.
Happy Little Accidents is that guy's the man.
That's crazy.
Guy
what he
is
does.
so good at what he does.
Yes.
I know that's like one thing he does that he'll kind of to get colors to blend together.
Have you tried any shading with spin dyes at all?
Occasionally. So this disc here, there's kind of some shading going on between the blue. There's blue, purple, and pink, and there's a little bit of shading going on there. That wasn't necessarily intentional, but I was starting to run out of room. I did it from the inside out, and I was starting to run out of room to get all the colors, so I started layering one color on top of the other.
Yeah, one thing that I want to try is shading with like black, because I've seen some pretty cool spin dyes that add dimension to it, so it looks like there's depth to it.
Yeah.
Where you have like, basically you do a black gradient.
Yeah, that's kind of one thing I want to experiment with more and more as I, as I start using denatured alcohol more, I think that's how I'm going to really accomplish that. Because acetone is harsh.
Yeah, I just like, it's on there, it's done. You're not doing anything.
Because once you get it on there, it ain't coming off.
Yeah.
Denatured alcohol is a little bit more forgiving. You have to have to go over and over and over and over a lot of times to get it to take.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit easier on mistakes.
Yeah.
You don't really there's not a lot of room for error with acetone.
You kind of mentioned this, but do you have a favorite disc and plastic that you like to dye?
K1, Casoplast K1 is my favorite plastic. I will say that I probably dye the most Bergs out of any disc. However, Bergs are tricky as hell to dye.
Yeah.
I know anyone who's ever done dyeing will know all about the Berg bubble.
Mm-hmm.
The Berg bubble is kind of a pain in the butt to deal with. If I had to choose a favorite mold to dye, I don't know, probably a Falk.
Okay.
It's domey. It's easy. It's easy to handle, easy to manipulate. You put it in a glue bed. You don't really have to do a whole lot to get it to set right.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about air. You don't really have to worry about air bubbles because the dominess it'll naturally push all the air outward, and you won't trap any.
What's your technique to place a Berg into a bed?
All right, so I don't know how well this is going to translate on camera, but I'm going to try to kind of show what I do. You imagine that you have the indented flight plate of the Berg. So I will lay one end in to the glue, and then as I lay the rest in, I try to push the indented flight plate out.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is hard to do. This is hard to do on camera because I'm kind of doing this at an angle.
Yeah.
It makes a lot more sense if I have the disc in front of me, and it's a little bit easier to do with my hands.
Yeah.
But that's the best way I can describe what I'm trying to do there.
Yeah.
I'm actually perfect on Berg bubbles. I've never had one.
Well, la-ti-da. Nice. What's your
probably luck? Probably it might be a better be lucky than
wood.
Might be a better be lucky than good thing, because there have been times when I've tried to do a Berg and it's slipped out of my hands. Like, oh, I'm gonna get a bubble.
Yeah.
And I pull it. I'm like, well, wow, I didn't.
Huh,
How
nice.
the hell did that happen?
Do you just use glue beds for the Bergs, or what else have you done?
A lot of Bergs, I'll do this. I'll do this shaving cream dye on. This is actually a good anti-Berg bubble weapon because the shaving cream, just the way that it expands, will fill it fills the indented flight plate shape very well, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to worry about how you set it at all.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I do with a lot of Bergs. I do this design in a lot of Bergs strictly because I don't have to worry about the Berg bubble.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of how I came up with really that's part of how this design really kind of came to be my signature, for lack of a better term.
What's your second favorite plastic to dye?
I love Discmania Neo.
Yeah.
Discmania Neo is super good. It dyes really, really well. I like throwing Discmania Neo discs too.
Yeah.
Keeps really well too, I feel like. One issue I know plastics have is that they fade, especially K1 soft. I love throwing K1 soft discs, but man, do they fade fast.
Yeah.
K1 fades faster than a lot of discs do too. I like dyeing them because they're so pretty.
Yes.
I do try to have extended sit times on my dyes to combat the fade effect, but unfortunately, every disc fades.
Yeah, that's another reason why I don't like having inventory. Because I do a lot of stencils, and if I have really fine details, over a year, they're starting to get fuzzy.
So, I do a lot of times let my glue beds sit for, 2 days.
Oh, wow.
Because I want I want uptake to be as good as possible and for it to last as long as I can. And that's about all that's under my control.
Have you noticed any negative consequences for letting it sit so long? For example, blurring of lines, or it's not as sharp?
I'm not really sure that at least glue beds, I'm not really sure that a long sit time I've ever really had that problem. I go back to this boreum here.
Yeah.
And I let this sit for 2 days.
That's crazy.
And all the detail came through really, really well.
I know I've mentioned this in other podcasts, but I feel like the clear glue the disc and the clear glue and the dye, basically the glue and the disc sandwich the dye on there, and the glue basically makes it the dye stick wherever it is.
Yep.
Because I told this before, but I did a clear glue. For whatever reason, I thought I messed up, so I lift up the disc, and the pattern that was in there stayed.
Yep.
And I set it back down, and everything was fine.
Yeah, that's
So I was like,
that's amazing.
yeah.
I don't think I've ever had that exact sequence of events happen, but I can imagine.
Yeah, so that was an accident. So I was like, okay, I guess I can take it out of the bed if I need to. I wouldn't recommend it, but the pattern stays on there.
Yeah, it does.
And usually I've been blasting mine with heat, and like an hour and a half. That's all I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of dyers that agree. There are a lot of dyers that swear by that method. That just do the heat and pull it and move on.
Yeah.
And I get that. I there if I ever want to get do this at a higher scale, I might have to start cutting down my sit times. I just what I have time for now, the 2-day sit works.
Yeah. How many discs do you typically dye at a time?
I'm usually only one at a time, but if I on a busy day, I'll do like 3 or 4. Some days I am too busy to do any.
Yeah.
I usually crank out, I don't know, 5 or 6 a week.
Gotcha.
I don't do very many. I don't do. There are so many dyers out there that do way bigger scale than I do. But
Yeah.
that's something that if I ever start having really high demand for commissions, I might have to kind of switch my methods. But what I do works for me right now.
Very cool. So you mentioned when you first dyed, you had a lot of fails, which I feel like everybody does, and that's how you learn.
Oh yeah.
Is there any particular fails that stuck out to you?
I'm not even sure I recognized them as fails at the time, but just kind of looking back at my old work, you can see the night and day difference between what I was doing with RIT and lotion and what I'm doing with clear glue and Prochem and a working spin die table. The first ever spin die I did with my jerry rigged box fan. It wasn't even a box fan, but a table fan. That looked like crap.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There's there have been other dies that I've done where other people have liked them, and I pull them like, oh man, this looks like garbage.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to. Nothing really comes to mind other than just my early dies look like amateur hour stuff.
Yeah. Do you still have them, or did you yeet them into the water?
I still have a lot of them.
Nice.
I still actually I have one of them is an ace. That harp is an ace disc now. So
nice.
I kept it.
The ugly duckling that you got to keep.
Yep. And actually, another thing I've done with some of my ugly early dies is re-dye them.
Yeah.
So if I've got something that's faded out really bad, I will create a new bed and throw it in, and it looks brand new.
Nice. Have you ever noticed the dye fading through the disc, so it starts ending up on the opposite side?
There have been discs that when I first started off, I didn't really understand that concept, and I would dye undersides of discs as well as the top of the flight plate.
Yeah.
So some of those I can kind of see fading through now.
Yeah.
And almost 2 years later, I have this Discmania Origin that I did a dye on top and I did a dye on the bottom. And now when I pick it up, I can see, oh yeah, there's I can see the dye on the bottom seeping through. But it took a long time for that to happen.
Yeah. What other methods have you experimented with for dyeing, and is there anything that you want to try?
Well, Floetrol is something that I am not great at, but I feel like my last attempt was at least cromulent. I know kind of the rage in the disc golf dyeing world is doing cells and Floetrol.
Yeah.
I have not been able to get cells to really work, but I've at least gotten the Floetrol to yield something that looks visually pleasant, I guess. That's one thing I really want to get good at. Another thing that I am trying to master is like the lollipop spin dye thing with denatured alcohol. Eventually stencils. That's kind of that's that's something that's a stretch goal.
Yeah, don't get into stencils because it's a waste of time.
I don't know about that, but that's probably the biggest hole in my skill set is I don't really do stencils, but
Yeah.
Eventually sometime down the road it's something I'm gonna invest in and try to get good at.
Yeah, well, if you need anything cut, let me know because I'll cut stuff for you.
Yeah, okay, that works.
We're not that far away.
I know.
Yes.
Only 20 minutes away from here.
And for the cell dies, so I just recorded Little Bot Disc Dies. Watch that when it comes out, and he has a tutorial on YouTube of how to do that.
That is awesome. I will watch that.
Yeah, so I've never done Floetrol yet. I got like 2
I
gallons.
see you have a couple gallons there.
Yeah, that's been there for a year. I hope they're still good.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, so I still got to do that, but I've been so busy doing other stuff like this to actually dye discs.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Only 24 hours in the day, and it's not enough.
Yeah, I know. Even just staying up late trying to do all this stuff, you can burn yourself out fast.
Yeah, you sure can.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have time to actually play disc golf, too.
Yes, this is true. And speaking of other disc dyers, is there any disc dyers that you get inspiration from or that you like their dyes?
Well, I can name a ton. So the previous guest, 4 and 4 Custom Dye, I really like his work, and that's kind of part of he was also part of this this Wave So Groovy tournament that I participated in, and that whole group of dyers has really kind of inspired me to step up my own game with various methods. Him, and I'm gonna try to name drop them all, and I apologize to you guys if I forget anybody. There's 4 and 4, there's Thunder Buddy Dyes, there's Dynamic Discs, there's Moogly Dyes. He's the guy I lost to in the I got whomped in that round of the tournament. There's Pioneer Path, there's Disc Dyes by Emily. She is super good. I actually kind of learned that she is actually she does a lot of the star, glue stars, and I kind of try to ape that and feel like I figured that out. Kind of, in no small part due to inspiration I got from watching what she does.
Nice.
Handmade by Sig. He did a really cool dye. We got Andidalis, we got Happy Tree Dyes, who she won the whole tournament. I think she's going to be a guest on your show.
Yes,
soon
she is.
too.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that'll be a fun episode.
Yeah.
There's Happy Little Accidents. There's Thumb Lord, Dan's Disc Dyes, Felon Bomb Dyes, another who's going to be another guest of yours. Nate Rack, all those guys. I look at what those guys are putting out in this group chat, and I'm like, wow, holy shit.
Yeah, I heard
this is elite company.
Yeah, I heard the group chat was pretty amazing for that.
Yeah, it was a cool group chat where we saw each other's work, and I think it pushed a lot of us to try different things.
That's awesome.
So another dyer that inspired me early on going is Dyes by Red too. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yep.
But he did the lazy wave. He's the master of the lazy wave thing. So I spent a lot of time trying to kind of do my own version of the lazy wave as well. And I'll mention disc golf couple again. They're not really a disc dyer, but they that's who I originally saw doing this and like, dude, I should try this.
Yes. So did you do any research for dyeing, and was there any like specific YouTube channels or people that inspired you or that you learned from?
I got a lot of I think I learned a lot of what I do from the Disc Golf Dyers group on Facebook.
Yeah.
Now that's another thing of kind of it's more reading comments more than looking at videos, but a lot of people in that group are super happy to help new dyers. And I was at one time a new amateur dyer.
Yes.
That needed all sorts of help with all sorts of intricacies of disc dyeing, and people in that group are super helpful.
Yeah.
And I try to pay it forward too, and be as I try to give out tips whenever someone asks something that I know, something that I'm experienced with.
That's one of the reasons why I started the Disc Golf Dyers Guild, is just the betterment of the community, to share our knowledge and spread it. So
I'm excited to see what it grows into.
Me too. We'll see what happens. It may flop, but hey, at least I can say I tried.
Yep, exactly.
So
hey, that's how a lot of my dyes are.
send it. See what happens.
Yep.
All right.
I know. There's another account that I actually watched some videos of. Sarg's Happy Little Discs is another one. I have seen some of his YouTube videos, and it clarified a few things for me on glue dyes.
Nice. So, words of wisdom. Do you have any tips and tricks that you would like to tell other dyers?
Don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Seriously, don't be afraid to fail. You're gonna if you're gonna do this, you are be at peace with the fact that you're going to screw some discs up, and you're going to drop some money on doing this. But do it because you love it too. Obviously I've gotten decent enough at this where I can actually make money, but don't go into it with the express intent of making money, because it's really tough to. Do it because you love the art. Do it because it brings you happiness and joy. Do it because it's something. Disc dyeing is, for me, it's a stress reliever. I'm getting lit up at work with request after request after request, and everything's urgent. Then come break time, it's like, okay, I'm gonna put one of these on the record player, do some spins, and kind of let off a little bit of steam. It's good therapy for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like it's the same for a lot of people. It's a way to express your creativity, relax, chill out, put on some music, and just get in the zone. So
I enjoy it.
Yeah. If you were to get into disc dyeing right now, is there anything that you would do differently?
Probably do more research. I think that was probably the one thing that I did at the outset, was I just saw someone doing something and I said, you know what, I'm going to give this a try. And I didn't really know anything or try to figure out any of the science behind it. I just did it.
Well,
if I was gonna, I would definitely do more research.
There's still merit in that, because you actually did it rather than thinking about it and not doing it.
Yeah, that's true.
There's that.
And I'm oftentimes the type to overthink things and not do them.
Yes, same here. Analysis by paralysis.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, cool. Is there any other dye related stuff that you would like to talk about?
Do it because you love it. Do what makes you happy, and if you bring more beauty into the world and into other players' bags and into your own bag, then you've done something good. I try my best to live my own life under a code of altruism, and be as positive of an influence as I can to be, as I can anywhere. So I guess that brings me to something that I will say, that if you are a dyer and you spent the time and you spent the effort and you spent the money on supplies to develop a level of proficiency, pay it forward. I think that's one of the best parts of the disc dyeing community, is how helpful everybody is to each other, and how willing experts are to share their tips and tricks with the newbies. And if you have taken the time to develop your skills, please pass them on to other people who want to know too, because that's what makes this little niche community really special.
That is extremely well said, and I think I have a tear in my eye. Very, very well said. And totally agree with everything you said there.
Yep. And I know that's what you're trying to do with this whole, the whole podcast and the whole operation, and I support it 100%.
Yeah, it's a lot of work behind the scenes to do all this and edit these videos, and but I want to give back to the community, and this is one way that I think that I can, using my creative talents that I have. And yeah,
I dig it. I've enjoyed every bit of any episode that I've listened to so far. I kind of envision myself walking into this room under that goofy ragtime music.
Yeah.
That you have at the start.
Yes. So, personal note, to get to know the disc dyer a little bit better.
Okay.
We're going to do favorite faves.
All right.
So, what is your favorite band or song?
Tom Petty won't back down.
Nice.
I love Tom Petty. I miss him so much.
Yeah.
I miss going to his concerts. The last Tom Petty concert that I went to was me and my wife when she was very pregnant with our oldest. So our oldest son got to hear a Tom Petty concert while he was in mommy's belly.
Nice.
And I would go see him anytime he came to Summerfest.
Very cool. Your favorite food?
Tacos.
Tacos. Any type
Love
of tacos?
I make chicken tacos in my crock pot with all sorts of spices that I find in my wife's spice drawer, which is extensive. Cut up a bunch of peppers and onions. I mean, I like any tacos. It's not just chicken tacos. It's steak tacos. Hell, any all Mexican food is great.
Right. Who does the cooking in the family?
I do most of it.
Yeah.
My wife does. She does great work when she does cook.
She may be listening, so say nice things.
Yeah. No, she makes a mean chicken parmesan. I love it when she makes that. I probably do most of the cooking for the family. Now, a lot of that is throw a bunch of stuff in the crock pot and.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Be efficient.
Yes. And what is your favorite beverage to wash all of that down?
IPA.
IPA.
I love IPAs.
Is there a specific?
Ooh, favorite IPA. That's tough. That's another one of those things.
Like question.
That's another one of those things. Like, what's your favorite disc golf course? That's going to change weekly.
Well, funny because that is going to be a question coming up.
All right.
Well, okay. Do you have any other hobbies?
Cycling. I ride my bike. I ride my road bike out on the roads and the bike trails a lot. It's probably my chief form of exercise now.
How many miles do you put on a day?
I try to ride 3 times a week. I often don't accomplish that, but if I am able to ride, I usually am able to do 2 rides a week most weeks, and I'll do probably 20 miles at a time.
Yeah, nice. Where do you ride?
Out on the roads in southwestern Waukesha County by my house. There's some good biking roads out in the country there, and the Glacial Drummond Trail is right over there too.
I was going to say, if you ever ridden that, which obviously you have
all the time.
Yeah, nice. The next section, if you had to pick 3 discs to play any course for the rest of your life, what 3 discs would you choose?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I bag like 20 of them.
Well, you have to pick 3.
So I picked 3. And then give me a second to think about that. Rico X is my putter.
Okay.
I would probably go with I forehand a lot, so I really like my Grim X as an all-purpose forehand thrower. And I would go, man, I might change my mind in 2 seconds about this, because 3 discs is just not how my game works.
Quickly, pick one.
Another disc that I have really been liking a lot lately is a Casaplast Svea. It's the one I have is stupid understable, but I could throw it on a really, really exaggerated hyzer angle, and that thing goes absolutely dead straight, no fade. The thing is the best straight arrow shooter I've ever attempted to throw with. It doesn't. I can't throw that shot all that far, probably 200 tops, but it is is that an approach weapon. It's a woods weapon too.
Well, those are set in stone, and that's all you get now.
Okay.
So, is your bag exclusively Casaplast, or do you have other stuff in there as well?
I have like 10 different brands in my bag.
Yeah.
Another thing that nearly made the cut was my Innova Firebird. I throw that, but that's a disc that I throw in. That's a situational disc. I don't feel like it's all that practical to have as a, one of 3 discs for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Do you like any MVP or Axiom discs?
I do. I have a Hex. I really love the Hex.
Yes. I do as well. So, it's not me that I suck. It's the discs. So I switched out my bag to all MVP and Axiom.
Okay.
It didn't really help. Well, okay, I lied because I've been getting the fission plastic, which is a lighter weight plastic.
Okay.
And that's been helping my noodle arm.
There you go.
Yes.
Hey, get the right tool for the job.
Pretty
That's
much.
fine. I mean, that's why I bag so many discs.
Yeah. I have a cart and I carry like 20 discs with me, but I honestly only use like 5.
All right. I bet I throw probably 10. I bet I throw probably 10 to 12 in an average round.
Okay. There you go.
There's there's a few discs that I throw almost every single. I mean, there's a bunch of discs I throw every single round. There's some I throw 75% around. Some I only throw situationally, like one out of every 10 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
But if I throw them, if I have a shot for them, I throw them.
Nice.
You know.
Well, it's good that you know how your discs fly and how and where to use them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another thing is the wind. If
Yeah.
the wind starts picking up, then I have a lot of overstable discs from back when I wasn't as good of a forehand thrower. That all those overstable discs just masked all the deficiencies in my form. But I have a lot of them still in my bag because they're actually still useful if it gets really windy outside.
Yeah, no, that fission plastic, lighter weight, headwind.
Yeah,
It's
that
gone.
can get flippy.
Yes. It's exciting to watch, but you got to be careful.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite course and or hole?
So, well, my favorite course ever is Roland Ridge in Brilliantville or Reedsburg or wherever it is.
Yeah.
I forget the exact name of the little municipality it's in, but that course is amazing.
Yeah, I think it's Reedsville.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've only been there once, but I'm like, dude, I don't want to leave. I took the day off to go there, and it's getting to be 3:00, and I need to get back home to pick my kid up from daycare. I'm like, dude, do I really have to leave? Can I just freaking stay here?
What did you like about it?
Just the variety, you could go there and play 9 different courses and not repeat a hole.
Yeah. Nice.
And you could play there the entire day. You could play there over and over and over and over the entire day until your arm falls off and you're not repeating a hole the entire time you're playing.
Awesome. Have you played, was it Silver Creek in Manitowoc?
I never have, and that's a course I really want to get to at some point.
That is my favorite course over Rolling Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I would highly recommend getting out there. And my friend and I want to get out there sometime this fall. And if we ever do go out there, we'll let you know.
I would love to play.
All right. Dream date. So if you had to pick one pro player to play around with and just hang out with, who would that pro disc golfer be?
Maybe Philo.
Really?
Yeah. I took I attended a clinic he put on, and I just thought he was really cool. And I thought he would be really cool to hang out with and play around with.
Very cool.
You can hear his insights on on commentary all the time. I mean, another thing that might change, that might change tomorrow if I think about it. But
Right. I see you are wishy-washy, just like me.
yep.
All right. So we are at the end here. Is there anything you want to plug, or where can people find you at?
So my work is really just all of my work is available on my Instagram account, Sunchaser Disc Dyes. The handle is sun.chaser.disc.dyes. I have plans to do discs on a storefront. That's another one of those things that time, being the great equalizer that it is, has not really allowed me to do. I just haven't been able to invest the time it takes to put together a good storefront, because I don't want to put together a half-ass storefront and have it be really difficult. I feel like the setup I have now, where you can message me on Instagram or Facebook, and I can, I will work with you to either do a custom disc, or you can buy something that I currently have. That works fine for me.
Very cool.
Though, I always want to get bigger and better.
Yes.
And eventually having a functional storefront is part of that. But, that's where I would, if you're ever looking for anything, that any of my work, or if you ever want me to do work for you, then my Instagram account is probably where to look for me.
Sounds good. So we are going to be trying something new, and we are going to be doing a fundraiser for these poor artists.
Yep.
So each guest that we have on the podcast, they are going to raffle off one of their discs. So 100% of the proceeds go to the disc dyer. So it's a way to help them out, and it's also a way to potentially win a disc for $1. I guess for this one, is there a specific disc that you wanted to do? Subject to change.
I think I'm going to do this Falk that I've shown. So let's see if I can get this on camera at all. This is a Casaplast K1 Falk. This is kind of this fallback. This is this kind of signature design that I have kind of made my own. The shaving cream swirl in the center, spin rings out, out from mid perimeter out. And I'm going to clean this up a little bit because since I've done it, I've picked a few little specks of glue off that have left white spots. So it's going to get respun and everything, and just little things will get cleaned up.
Gotcha.
But I think this is what I'm going to put forward, and I can, we'll get some better pictures of this than what you're seeing right here.
Yeah. So you can find this disc and enter the raffle on dyersguild.co. So check that out, and please support Sun Chaser Disc Dyes. So that is all I have for today, and I appreciate you coming in person to my man cave. So
well, thank you for having me. It was an honor, and this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, now we need to play around together.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I have the same conversation with like dozens of other players in the Milwaukee community that like I wish I had more time to play disc golf, because there's so many cool people that I interact with online and interact with have yet to actually play around with, and I want to do it.
And I greatly appreciate slicing some time out for me to do this, because I know you are a busy man.
Well, I'd say the same to you. I know you're I appreciate you taking the time to have me here.
Yeah.
This is cool. This is an honor to be a part of this.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. So, all right, we will see you guys later.
All right, take care, y'all.